Okay, I wanted to start this episode off with addressing a few questions I've had about this and what this is all about. When I started my company, Parabellum Racecraft, I basically just wanted to start a company that provided safety equipment and safety advice. Being a past, fireman and paramedic, I thought that I could utilize my knowledge to inject into the sport in areas that I thought could use a little boost, fire suppression systems and first aid kits and so forth. But what that evolved into was me meeting Henry. When I decided to jump up and build this truck instead of my old 1450 truck chassis that I had, Henry had never been into this type of racing before. And that's when I met him. He bought that chassis. We ended up donating that chassis to Patriot Racing. But it really sparked an interest and inspired Henry to build this stuff. And so we got our heads together and thought, wow, let's design a chassis that we can build like I did. I'm a budget racer, I don't have millions of dollars to build $700,000 truck. I have a budget, and there's a huge gap that I noticed in this racing. And I'm getting to answering the question of what this is all about. But during the creation of my company and the creation of Torque On Industries, which is Henry's side of the company, when we merged them together to create this, we wanted to fill a gap in off-road racing that was created when basically there was 7,200 trucks, which is like Brandon's Send It Racing truck, and there was 1400s and 1450s, and they were door slammers. They were weekend warriors, right? They were stock vehicles that were highly modified to race because that's all you could afford, but you wanted to get out and race, so that's what you built. And then there was a huge gap to the big guys, right? The $1 million trucks, the $700,000 trucks, and big budgets and big sponsors. And then they said, well, let's come up with 6,100, and that'll fill that gap. That'll be an affordable trophy truck racing class. And at the beginning, it was perfect. It filled the gap, and you could get into it for a relatively inexpensive price. But now it's gotten so expensive and so competitive that sponsors have jumped on board, and it's increased that financial market for 6,100s again. So now we're back to square one. We've got a huge gap. So then what came in its place, right? Well, UTVs were created. Now, UTVs, you could put into it basically what you would be into building like an old 7,200 truck and have a UTV that's pretty much almost race ready for sportsman stuff right off the showroom floor. You go and spend $30,000, $40,000 on one of these Can-Ams or these side-by-sides, throw some safety equipment in it, and you can race sportsman class and you're off and rolling. But now, that market has exploded, right? So you go and spend $40,000 on a new Can-Am, and I'm kind of spitballing there. I don't really know what they cost, but I know they're in their up range of a small car. And then you got to dump another $20,000 into it to be competitive because those fields are so huge, and they just keep adding classes and classes, and we don't want to add any more classes, right? So now you're into a side-by-side, $100,000 to be semi-competitive in the field of 50 trucks or 50 vehicles, right? So where are we at again? Well, we've got a huge gap, right? But the gap this time is between the UTV guys all the way up to the trucks. So if you currently race a UTV that you have close to $100,000 soaked into, you can have this. So to answer the question, what is this all about? Henry and I created this to inspire people to go after what they want. You don't settle, I mean, if you want to race 11 or 5, awesome. You want to race a side-by-side? Great, do it. But let's say you want to upgrade. Let's say you want to upgrade, and instead of soaking another $100,000 into a side-by-side, you could build one of these. And I'm just saying $100,000 just as a solid number to get you rolling, right? We can put you into one of these chassis that you can build yourself and have the pride in doing. Build it yourself or with your team. Put a simple, good LS motor in it like I'm getting. Nice turbo 400 transmission, do the electronics and the dash work and all the tin work yourself, you can easily get into sportsman, unlimited truck racing, Group T. You know, you want to go up to 6100, this chassis is fully capable of that. It's built to that rule book. So we created this idea to inspire people to build it and race it. If you want to get into racing, if you want to upgrade your level of racing, you can get to this level for the same amount basically that you're getting into a side-by-side, right? Which is the old 7200. So we're trying to fill that gap again. So when we designed this, we kept numbers and people's budgets sternly at the top of our list of priorities to meet. The number one thing we did is we made it out of DOM steel, right? It's 2-inch, 120 wall, steel tubing, easy to get, easy to acquire. Any steel place will have it. The biggest thing outside of the financial benefit of it is it's easy to replace. You can build this whole chassis. If you get in an accident or something where a tube is dented or bent on your post-race inspection, you'll be able to readily see it and replace it pretty easy, right? The bigger guys made out of chromoly, that's chromoly. You got to have the welds ultrasonically tested, right? They've got big tools, big budgets. They can send their chassis out after every race and have every weld tested ultrasonically. When they build the chassis, they have the tubing heat treated. You know, they can TIG weld it, so they can control their temperatures, because if you overheat chromoly and overheat it too many times, it becomes very brittle. My point is the DOM is just much more forgiving. It's not only less expensive, but it's a lot more forgiving for the home builder. If you're interested in one of these kits, it comes in multiple stages. The first stage is the main backbone, the spine, the Y plates, and the bulkhead. And you don't have to have a fixture table. We spent a ton of time engineering this, so all the copes of the tubing fit together perfectly like a puzzle, and with a few little construction lasers to make sure things are centered up and you're not getting any distortion. As long as this is built nice and flat on a flat floor, everything else fits together. And then it's pretty much just being very patient on your welding, not to overheat things and get that distortion. So first stage is like I said, the spine, the main backbone of the truck. Second stage is the whole cabin compartment. And then at that point, we will get it certified and inspected for you by SCORE or Best in the Desert, whoever you prefer, to make sure it's good and safe and good to go before you move on to the suspension components and the rear back half of the chassis. And those come in another flat pack later, right? So that's our goal with it. That's our business model. Are we gonna get rich off of this? No, that's never been our goal. That's the reason why we have this huge gap, is because people are building these and they're making a ton of money off people who have a ton of money. We want to get people to this level of racing, and really just, it's not just even about this. Like, if you want to build that, we want to inspire you to build that, you know? If you want to race UTV, we want to inspire you to do that. But the thing you build, when you build something like this by yourself, just like that, you build so much more than just the vehicle. The people that come together to support you, your team, friends, family, you build such a tight-knit group. You know, some will come, some will go. The ones that really share your passion and get bit by that racing venom, it's a pretty incredible feeling. The people that I've met since building that, the people on my team, greatest people in the world. And it all starts with this. When you tackle this and you start telling people, I'm going to build a race truck and do some desert racing, or Baja Racing, everybody knows it by that name. You know, they come and they're like, hey, I want to be a part of it. And that's where it all starts. It's the greatest feeling in the world, to be honest with you. And that's what this is about. This is about inspiring people not to be afraid, to go after it and do it and build it yourself. Are you going to fail? Sure, yeah. I failed a lot with that thing. But every time I failed, I didn't look at it as a failure. I looked at it as getting wiser. I learned more from the failure. I didn't even have to pick myself up because I never got knocked down. I just took the hit and kept on going and learned from it every time. And you'll get there, you know. And the people that come into that with you, who understand the process and how hard it is to do this, they stay with you. And then when you win, you want to win for them, not for you. So yeah, it's something that only the home builder can experience. You know, and that just goes not just into racing, but anything in life. Just don't ever give up. You want to do it, go after it. We live in the perfect country that enables us with the freedoms to do stuff like this, to build stuff like this. There's no other place on the planet where we can do this. So take advantage of it and go after it. So, not a sales pitch, just an explanation of what that's all about. So, but if you want one, check us out. Give us a call, go to the website. Let's get to it. Okay. Super excited. So I raised the seat up like 3 inches, 2 3/4, 3 inches. And what a dramatic difference. I know you have no perception of what it looked like before, but wow, like my visibility over the nose of the truck feels like a couple of feet. So just that little bit of increase was so much better. Definitely been needed since the day one building this truck. Leo likes to hop up in here. So the dash, did a little bit of work off camera, got the dash all fitted. It's nice and stout, all mounted. Got the steering column placed. Being able to move the seat up and forward a little bit has really changed my feeding position. I'm in a more upright position with my knees bent, not so much laid back, you know, in a sports car type mode like we were before because we needed the headroom. This is really gonna help me get leverage on the brake pedal and much better, more comfortable positioning on my accelerator pedal foot. And then I was able to move the wheel closer to me, which is going to be great because I was stretched out quite a ways before, and that really plays hell on arm fatigue. But having it closer, the shifter's a lot closer, and got Brett's getting his console all set up, trying to get the screen close to him. His seat will also be moved up and forward a little bit, so he'll be able to reach all the controls and everything better. The radio and intercom is mounted. I think I'm gonna put the siren control head here with the horn button here. Leo, hush. And yeah, so still thinking about that. And then I'm gonna get ready to put the RacePak. It'll be right here. And then also the RacePak has a fuel level gauge in it, which I'm going to utilize, but I'm also going to put an analog fuel gauge here. I think the RacePak will be in this area, and I'll put the analog fuel gauge here, and then I'm also going to put back the analog tach for my side, because really that's the only thing I pay attention to is the tachometer. And then all the other gauges, fuel pressure, oil pressure, oil temp, engine temp, all that stuff is going to be covered by the RacePak. So yeah, new center console, I raised it up, so it's just better. It's not diving down behind us like it did before. Made this a little bit wider so we can I can put stuff here. I might put Brett's push to talk button right here. A little easier for him to get to. That's where it was previously, and it seemed to work really well. So I'll put his push to talk there. I do have to get a new one because it did take some heat, and the upper end of the cable melted. Other than that, everything is pretty much the same, but these changes right here, moving this up and this back and the seats up, just dramatic change. I'm pretty excited. Can't wait to get the thing rolling. So next, today I'm going to work on getting the RacePak all fitted and everything. All the welding and fabrication that I need to do, I'm going to get done here. And then probably this weekend, I'm going to get the transmission separated off the old motor, get the old motor on the stand and covered up for a later day when I can tear into it. But then I'm going to get the trans married up to the new motor, and hopefully get that sucker put in by the end of the weekend. I still want to do some cleaning up and painting. There's some old brackets and stuff, just do some housekeeping on the chassis and get rid of some old mounts and things that don't need to be there anymore, clean it up and paint it. But there's a possibility I could get the new motor in the truck by the end of this weekend. That would be awesome. And then once that's all done, I'm going to start fab on the new tire mounts on the back. Once all the welding and dirty work's done, I will trade places with the chassis. I'll move it in here and this out there, and I'll start wiring, getting all these Deutsch plugs and switches wired up to power. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Let's do it.